Hi there. I'm going to quickly demonstrate how to create a Hoover patch on the Roland SH-101. The Hoover was a very distinct sound used in quite a bit of the earlier Rave Techno. It's probably my favorite sound from those days of techno music. So let's begin. I went ahead and zeroed out all the parameters on the 101. So we'll start from scratch. So the first thing we'll go to is the source mixer of the oscillator. The waveform used in the Hoover is a pulse wave, so I'm going to go ahead and set the pulse to 100%, and I'm going to move down to the envelope and set the sustain to 100% and decay to about 50%. And I have the envelope set to gate plus trigger, and the VCA is routed to the envelope. So as you can see, we still don't have any sound, so next thing we'll move on to is the filter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the filter by setting the frequency to about 50%, and I'm going to set the keyboard tracking to 100% and the envelope modulation to about like 70%, 75%, somewhere around there. So now we should have a basic pulse sound. So moving on, I'm going to add a bit of pulse width modulation to give the pulse a bit more buzziness to it. So what we'll do is set the pulse width to 100% and set the modulation source to the LFO, the very top setting. Also, just note that I do have the VCO range set to the lowest octave, which is 16. So now we should have a bit more buzziness to our pulse sound. So moving on to the LFO, I'm going to have the LFO waveform set to the sine or triangle, and I'm going to increase the LFO rate to about 50%. So now we should have a bit more familiar sound. So that's the basis for a Hoover. Next thing, very important part to the Hoover, that gives it its Hoover characteristic, is the portamento. So what I'm going to do is set the portamento on, and I have the portamento set to about 40%. So let's see what we got now. So there's our basic Hoover sound. Another thing we could do is we can add a little bit more low end to it if you want, by setting the sub oscillator to about, I don't know, about 30% or so. And I have the octave range of the sub oscillator set to 2 octaves down with the, I don't know if it's like a 10 or 20% duty cycle. So now we should have a bit more low end to it. So that's the Hoover. One other thing you could do if you want is maybe add a little bit frequency to, a little bit of resonance to the filter, which gives it maybe a little bit more of a mid-range, a little bit thinner sounding, but with some more mid-range. So there you have it. That is the Hoover sound. Thanks for watching.